Hello, I'm David Dubato, and you're watching the No Delusion Zone for Sunday, July 19th, 2026. Well, today's topic is going to be a little bit different than what I usually focus on, which is international affairs, the war in Ukraine, NATO, and national security here in the United States. Although the topic that I am going to be talking about today, law enforcement, is kind of tied in directly, actually, to a topic I have talked about quite a bit, which is the breakdown of the educational system here in the United States, the dumbing down of the United States, the illiteracy, the functional illiteracy of 53% of the adults living in the United States. Over half of all adults in my country, the United States of America, actively illiterate, walk around all day to the point that they can barely read the back of a soup can in the grocery store. And of those 53% that are functionally illiterate, which, by the way, means that they can read no better than a sixth grade level, or about 11-year-old, about 20% of them can only read at a fifth grade level, or that of a 10-year-old. So how can we expect people with that level of illiteracy, functionally illiterate, to understand any of the even moderately complex issues that face people every single day, especially in this country, which is being torn apart by partisan politics? 50% still, actually 60 to 70% of all Republicans still support Donald Trump, and the other 50%, or a 50% total of the adult voters don't support Donald Trump, and they're at each other's throats every day. But if you've got an illiterate or a functionally illiterate electorate, it's not going to work. It's been said many times before, and I'm paraphrasing, but any functioning democracy depends on an educated citizenry. Certainly not adults who can barely read at the sixth grade level, many of which can only read at the fifth grade level. It's just not going to work. So in any event, what I'm going to talk about today is tied into that illiteracy rate, the functional illiteracy rate here in the United States, because I believe it's directly related to the crazy things that are happening in our law enforcement community. And no, I'm not talking about ICE and all the craziness that's being done there. I'm a vocal advocate against what's happening with ICE, against this brutal crackdown on immigration. I am for enforcing our immigration laws. I've said this for many, many years, way before Donald Trump was even on the scene. I am not for open borders, but we have enough immigration laws. If we just enforce them legally, not brutally, not killing people, shooting them in their cars, including U.S. citizens, we can solve the immigration crisis. But that's not the focus of this video today. Again, it does have to do with law enforcement, but I'm talking about local law enforcement, state, city, county law enforcement, and specifically a group of individuals, or morons, as I like to say, that call themselves sovereign citizens. And if you don't live in the United States, or even if you do, you've probably never heard of them. As a former law enforcement officer, police officer, I am aware of it, and I tend to watch some or quite a few YouTube videos that focus on these lunatics and the aftermath of their anti-law, anti-sanity actions. And I'm going to play some brief clips for you about this, because watching them in action and watching the legal reaction of police officers, of law enforcement officers, and in one case, a judge, can explain so much better than I can what these morons, these sovereign citizens, are all about. But before I do that, I'm going to play a brief clip from an attorney who, it's about a 1-minute clip, explains what this whole sovereign citizens movement is all about. So here we go. Brief clip. What is a sovereign citizen?
So you think that you're a sovereign citizen, huh? Let's talk about it. Sovereign citizens are individuals who believe that they are not subject to certain laws and regulations of the United States government. Many believe in a combination of loopholes and conspiracy theories and other legal principles that mean that they are outside the jurisdiction of the government. They reject governmental authority and use pseudo-legal arguments in order to support themselves in the position that they may not be prosecuted or held under the laws of the United States. Interestingly enough, this issue of sovereign citizens has been litigated at both the district and the circuit level in the United States. In fact, recently, the Seventh Circuit, that sits over many states in the United States, ruled that these claims of an individual that they were a sovereign citizen were not valid and did not allow that person to avoid prosecution.
So that's a brief description of sovereign citizens, but it doesn't do them justice because they are lunatics. Let me just briefly go over a few things. One of their hallmark claims to fame is that when they're pulled over for speeding, for having headlights out, not displaying a license plate, any number of different reasons, when the police officer approaches them in their window and says, driver's license, registration, and proof of insurance, please, that you were driving over the speed limit or whatever the offense might be, their classic response is, I am not driving, I'm traveling. Of course, that makes no sense, but these idiots, these lame brains read something on the internet, on social media from other lunatics, other wannabe lawyers that told them that they are not driving, that they are just traveling. And that if you say that to a police officer, magic will happen. And he or she will just walk away and you won't get any ticket whatsoever. Of course, that's nonsense. But again, that's part of it. They also, when they become really idiots and don't comply with showing the police their driver's license, proof of insurance, and registration, and wind up getting arrested, and I'm going to show you a clip about that, they have another famous sovereign citizen statement, which is, I do not consent to this arrest. Well, again, that's just lunacy. If every alleged criminal, everyone who is about to get arrested said, I do not consent to being arrested, then we would have no arrests. We would have our jails would be empty. No actual criminals would ever be arrested, because who in their right minds, or even those that are not in their right mind, would consent to being arrested? But believe me, that's what these people say when they're being arrested. And I've watched hundreds of videos about this. They almost all uniformly say to a person, I do not consent to this. They also say it in court a lot when the judge is asking them to state their name, their date of birth, and some really basic information. They say, I don't consent to this entire proceeding. Another famous phrase of theirs in court is that the court does not have subject matter jurisdiction, meaning that the court, the judge, the county, the city, whatever that they're in, doesn't have jurisdiction over them. Why? Because they're a sovereign. They do not believe in or operate in the laws of the land of whatever state they're in and of the United States of America. Again, that's total hogwash, but that's what they say. I do not consent, and you do not have jurisdiction over me. You don't have subject matter jurisdiction. And another really funny thing to me when they're in court, or even sometimes when they get pulled over, but more specifically in court, is they ask the judge, excuse me, is this court under maritime law or common law? The last time I looked, no courthouse in the United States that I've ever seen is on a ship. And these lunatics were never arrested on a boat or on a ship in the middle of the ocean. So obviously maritime law doesn't apply. But the same assholes who told them to say all those goofy things told them, if you just say or ask, is this maritime law or common law? Again, magic will occur. Pixie dust will be sprinkled all over the court, and he'll just let you go and say, I'm so sorry for inconveniencing you. Not. They are told that they're assholes in more polite words than that, and the proceedings do go on. A lot of them wind up leaving the courtroom in cuffs because they're held in contempt for not even giving their name, refusing to give their name at all. Because why? When the a subpoena goes out and they're required to come to court, if their names are listed all in caps, in capital letters, which very often occurs on legal documents, they say that I am not that person. I am not the all caps person you have here. I am so-and-so. And they make up a phony name if they want to. But I am not the all caps person. Therefore, I'm not subject to this law. I'm going to go home. Bye-bye. Of course, they don't go home. Again, a lot of them wind up in cuffs. Another insane phrase that they talk about in court is that no matter what the offense is, the alleged offense, no matter how serious it is, criminal or civil, they ask, they spout a bunch of nonsensical UCC codes to the judge. That's Uniform Code, the Uniform Commercial Code, Uniform Commercial Code, UCC. That is only used in business. If you've been arrested for shoplifting or drunk driving or burglary or any other robbery or any serious criminal offense, the UCC does not apply to you, idiot, moron, but they spout it all the time. And they expect the judge to swallow this and to say, oh, well, you're right. This proceeding comes under UCC 1-522.46. No, he doesn't. He says that you're insane. You don't know what you're talking about. And we're not going to continue with this gibberish. Or if it's a female, the female judge says the same thing. But they do. So anyway, without further ado from me, because like I said, I think that watching some brief videos on this will clarify and kind of explain more than I ever could about what these lunatics are all about. This next one is going to be from a favorite of mine. And I'm going to plug him right here. If any of you have ever watched or heard of Deputy Frank Sloop, he is a deputy sheriff out in Pinal County, Arizona. He's got a series of videos on YouTube. I highly recommend you watch them. He's a professional. He's very polite. He knows his stuff. He works in the traffic enforcement unit for the Pinal County Sheriff's Department. I used to be a police officer in Arizona, so I really respect him, and I watch most of his videos. It's called Fridays with Frank. Fridays with Frank, Deputy Frank Sloop of the Pinal County Sheriff's Department in Arizona. Anyway, I'm going to play a very brief clip. I think it's about a minute and a half long, dealing with, or he's actually not dealing, but he's commenting on a traffic stop with one of these demented sovereign citizens. So please watch.
Step out of the vehicle.
No, kidnap me.
I'm not going to
Because I
kidnap
have
you.
a fee.
Listen to me.
No.
Listen to me, ma'am.
kidnapping
You're
me.
going about this the wrong way. You're just going to get a citation. You're about to go to jail for resisting. You understand? So step out of the vehicle. Ma'am, I don't want to use force against you.
At the tone, please record your message. When you
Ma'am.
finish recording, you may hang up or
Hold on, let me leave this voicemail.
Understand that, right?
the callback number, press 5.
Ma'am. Okay. Turn your vehicle off, ma'am.
So I don't really understand this because, like, I work a lot. I'm working right now, but I don't drive a whatever this was, Range Rover, Land Cruiser, one of those things. Like, it's a pretty expensive car. I don't own one of those, and I work 7 days a week. So how can you have such an impaired perception of reality and be a sovereign believer and drive a car that's super expensive? Like, those two just don't go together in my head. I need someone in the comments to please explain that to me like I'm 5 so I can understand it.
What you didn't see, and I don't want to bore you or go on and on and on about this, but what you didn't see in that video, and what I watch a great deal of, they're actually called window smash videos, sovereign citizen window smash videos, is that idiot, that woman who refused to even acknowledge the police officer there and kept talking on her cell phone, trying to get a hold of God knows who, maybe her attorney, maybe her sister, who knows, and she was put on hold and kind of ignoring him as if he's not there. She was grabbed rather roughly by that officer, and I think his backup, dragged out of the car, thrown on the ground, ate some pavement, handcuffed, and then put in the back of the patrol car. She was charged with multiple offenses, including resisting arrest, refusing lawful orders, and so forth and so on. Just in case you don't know, In most states, almost every state, it is required if a police officer pulls you over for a legitimate reason, you are required to give him your driver's license or some form of identification. You can't just do this and say, I'm not going to do it. Or worse, as many sovereigns do, not even roll down your window and basically ignore him or her. Can't do that. You can, but you risk having your window smashed out. And as I said, there's a whole genre of YouTube videos about that, being pulled out of your car unceremoniously and handcuffed and then charged with additional charges. And as the officer was trying to say, and I hope you heard it, all he was going to do was give her a citation. I don't know what it was for. It didn't really say whether it was for speeding, no registration, or expired registration, or whatever, broken taillight. He was just going to give her a citation and let her be on her way. But no, she had to refuse. She had to, stand by her delusional rights, which she didn't have, which resulted in her being pulled out of the car, arrested. And again, you didn't see it. She fought them viciously. It's not that these are very calm people, genteel people. They fight viciously. They spit, kick, and everything else when they're being arrested. And that's where the additional charges come in. There's a ton of them. So if you want to, please, window smashes, or better yet, just go to the genre Sovereign Citizen on YouTube and you'll see a ton of these. The last one I'm going to play now is a courtroom scene. And I watched a ton of these, having testified in court several times. I can fortunately say that I left the police force before the sovereign citizen movement, which I'm so grateful for, because I would not handle them very well. I do not suffer fools lightly. I don't like to mistreat people. Don't think I ever did. But being mistreated by them, and the fact that they are all, or many of them, TikTok lawyers, YouTube lawyers, internet lawyers who think they actually know the law, know their constitutional rights, when they really don't. They've read them off the internet from some equally delusional idiot who's telling them things that are blatantly false, and they spout that to police officers and to judges in court. And again, I'm going to close with this brief video. I think it's only a minute long, and it's one of my favorite judges, Judge McNally from Michigan, one of the district courts in Michigan. And he's great. But in any event, this is a sovereign citizen who Judge McNally, I think, shuts down rather quickly. And then I'll join you on the other side.
James Lee Page Jr.
Special appearance?
Oh boy. One of these guys, eh? You're not gonna play with me this morning.
No, sir, I'm not listed.
Either you are or you aren't James Lee Page. If you aren't, back away from the podium. If you are, tell me that. I'm not gonna play with you. Are you James Lee Page?
I'm a living man.
Back away from the podium.
Sir,
I'll issue a warrant for you.
sir,
Then back up.
may I please ask?
No, you can't ask a question. You're not James Lee Page. You have no business being here. Back away from the podium.
Sir.
You want to end up in the lockup?
I do not. Please.
Back up away from the podium. You're not the defendant.
Can we hold court, please?
Back up.
Can you give me?
John, stay away. John, John.
Can I please?
No, you're not James Lee Page. Back away from the
Okay,
podium.
sir, I am.
Well, then don't play with me. Then don't lie to
I'm
me.
not trying to lie to you, sir, but you understand that they're trying to act like I'm a little
I'm like,
I love Judge McNally. He's just the best. You know why he acts that way? He's not an obnoxious person. He has heard this same script. There is a sovereign citizen script that they copy off the internet. Believe me, he's heard this script hundreds of times, and he's sick of it, just as I am. I would be far less patient than he is, but he's had it. And so whenever anybody starts with that drivel, that nonsense, that sovereign script, he shuts them down, and I don't blame him. That's the other thing. I don't think I mentioned it here. They always open up by saying, I'm not here under general appearance. I'm here under special appearance, which means absolutely nothing. Nothing. They're not here under special appearance. They're there because they were subpoenaed or arrested, depending on the case. So to say that, again, it's just gibberish. They think that by loading up the court and the judge's ears with gibberish, that some equally foolish person told him to say on the internet, that somehow, magically, that's going to dismiss their case. or they're going to fool the judge or the district attorney or the police officer into letting them go and dropping the charges. Why am I saying all this? Again, just as I said at the beginning of this video, to me, this all has to do and ties right back to the total loss or destruction, failure of the educational system in the United States. We're turning out blithering idiots who, I said it, I'll say it again, 53% of whom can only read at the 6th grade level, the level of an 11-year-old. It also ties in with the level of cruelty that has been promoted by the current administration, the Trump administration, and the lack of respect for anyone who disagrees with you, anyone at all, whether that's a police officer, a judge, and of course those communist Democrats, anyone that disagrees with you, according to the current administration, you have the right to fight them, to yell at them, to scream at them, to curse at them, and to not accept their orders at all. And that's what the sovereigns are doing. And again, it's a vicious circle. Our broken education system, the fact that they think they have the right not to obey the laws of the land, that their own president had told them that if they disagree with an official, whether it's a judge or a police officer, they have the right to say no. And then the idiots on the internet who write this nonsense feed into that. And yes, we do have a high level, a high preponderance of mental illness in this country. Maybe we already did or always did. I don't know, but we certainly do now. And social media really feeds into that. So these people, the sovereigns, go looking for any insane lunatic excuse to spout this drivel in court or when they're pulled over by the police. It never works. I've never seen it work. There's many attorneys on the internet right now testifying, saying that the sovereign citizen speech script never works. Don't do it. But if you're a moron, then you're not going to listen to an attorney anyway. I can't believe that they haven't watched YouTube enough to know that the sovereign citizen script never works and that they wind up going to jail. But maybe they want to go to jail. They're idiots. They can't read the back of a soup can in a supermarket, so maybe they want to go to jail. Maybe this is their YouTube fame that they've been waiting for. Even though many of them get injured, getting arrested, and many of them do go to jail for quite a while, and have very expensive fines to pay. But people like that don't think of the consequences of their actions, just like our current elected officials here in the United States don't think of the consequences of their actions. Anyway, this is all connected, folks, and I might have gone off on a tangent, but since the broken educational system in this country is very near and dear to my heart, and I believe is the root cause of most, if not all, of the problems we have here, because I believe education can solve almost any problem. Not right away, certainly, but if you have a broken education system, you're not going to have a functioning democracy. You're not even going to have a functioning government at all, because people don't understand it and they lose interest, and their elected officials can blatantly lie to them about absolutely anything. And these gullible, low education, low information individuals will swallow those lies, just, hook, line, and sinker. And that's what's been going on, at least in this country, with MAGA and the cult that still supports Donald Trump. That's about it. I mean, again, it's a little deviation from what I normally talk about, but if you think about it, it really isn't. Because if this is going on here, that actually does tie into our crumbling national security. Because if we have a country full of morons like this, delusional idiots that can't tell fiction from reality, delusion from reality, then how can we have a strong national security system? How can these people go into the military and follow orders or not obey illegal orders? Oh, I'm sorry, they're not. No, they're not already. They're bombing and killing people in the Caribbean and the Gulf and the Atlantic and Pacific. They're bombing them out of the water without any due process, without being charged, investigated, or arrested. They are now bombing bridges in Iran. which is against all international law. And I could go on and on. The things that the military are doing, ICE, obviously, in this country, are breaking the law. They have been murdering people on the street in the United States, including some United States citizens, without any probable cause, and that continues to go on. So this is all linked to that, but I focused in on local, meaning state, city, and county law enforcement officials, who I have the greatest respect for. And I'm sorry, they have a horrible job dealing with these people today. And the sovereign citizens are among the worst of the worst, and they contribute to many of the problems that we have here in the United States. And I'm going to leave it at that. You make your own decision. Is this a problem? Is it okay that people can't tell fantasy from reality? Is it okay that people totally ignore and refuse to obey lawful orders of law enforcement officers? And then when they're being arrested, after 9 million warnings that they'll be arrested if they don't comply, fight the law enforcement officers, punch, kick, and spit at them? Do you think that's okay? Let me know. Please send in some comments. And as always, please support this channel. If you don't agree, that's fine. Tell me why. But otherwise, please tell your friends, family, and colleagues to watch the No Delusion Zone and become a member. Need all the support you can get. Until then, you all take care, stay safe, and stay sane.